Hey, what's up everybody? We're back again with another set video. This time he's reviewing one of my favorite childhood games. A game that I played a shit ton as a kid. Fable. The original Fable. The Lost Chapters, was that what the DLC was called?
Seth here.
This game was so fucking good. And then they released a remake, which was garbage for some reason. It was an easy cash grab and they fucked it up.
Today, I'll be covering an
Idiots.
old childhood classic, a game that taught me that outside the safety of cities and towns, the entire natural world wants us dead, and you can't walk 5 meters without being mauled, stung, or assaulted by wildlife. That money can buy happiness, reverses aging, and helps everyone forget that you butchered an entire village 5 minutes ago, and that divorcing your wife is objectively worse than murder. I'm speaking, of course, about Fable, but not just Fable. Fable, The Lost Chapters, and Fable Anniversary, because they're all the same game, but Lionhead Studios needed 3 times the money. Released in 2004, Fable was the game.
Doesn't the Lost Chapters add like 5 or 6 more missions? I've never played Fable. I've always played the Lost Chapters.
That justified buying an Xbox Classic. I know this because I owned an Xbox Classic. It had about 3 games on it, and one of those was Enter the Matrix, which still haunts.
I used to play this shit as a kid. I don't know why. Everyone says this game is shit. I enjoyed this when I was a kid. It had that fucking I know what was it? Fuck, what was that scene from the Matrix? I know Kung Fu scene. I like this
me
game.
to this very day, but I digress. Anyway, Fable is a game about an experience all of us can relate to. Having your parents killed and your village burnt to the ground, only to be saved by an influential pedophile and forced into a life of indentured servitude. And after years of emotional and physical abuse, you're released into the great wide world with the expectation that you won't become a brooding menace to society. You're conditioned like an animal to follow the action-reward psychology of being a hero. The dopamine release of completing quests is all that drives your addiction for fame and relevance. Peter Molyneux is a liar, but he's also a genius, because throughout the game you're forced to make choices. Not reasonable choices, not thoughtful choices, but picking between the 2 extremes of morality, good or evil. Here is a typical moral dilemma as presented by Peter Molyneux. As you walk along the road, you encounter a homeless man being bullied by a delinquent teenager. The good option, scare off a bully. The evil option, beat that homeless man within an inch of his life and crack his rib cage open like a coconut crab. Both options give you the same amount of alignment points. It's insane, it's nonsensical, and I absolutely love it. There's not much to say about the story. You go.
True. Now that I think about it, Fable never really had any like middle ground. It was either you were a fucking holy man, fucking pure, or you are a homicidal piece of shit that would do anything and everything.
Go do quests and uncover the fact that some of your family isn't dead. So you reunite with them, only to have them all die except your sister, who I always spare because she's pretty damn hot. So you kill the big bad guy that's been making your life miserable, and Fable 1 ends there because they ran out of time. Then you have to kill the big bad guy's Persona avatar in The Lost Chapters, which is an expansion featuring a completely new area with reskins of all the monsters you fought before, and some extra content that was cut from the original. You can redo all this in the Anniversary Edition, which is a high-definition remaster of Lost Chapters, with extra bloom and gloom to drain out the color. While colors are faded, the characters aren't, and all the new models look great, including Lady Grey, the only good romance option in the entire game. If you're not familiar, Lady Grey is the sultry mayor of Bowerstone North. She's
She's a fucking psychopath.
also a crazy racist bitch that gets turned on by seeing black people die in front of her. Unlike Lost Chapters, Anniversary has built-in controller support for the PC. Anniversary
I mean, let's be honest. Okay, I'm not gonna
Edition
make
also
that
has
joke.
limited modding support, which is completely broken and unusable. However, this didn't stop one man, whose autism was more powerful than we could have ever imagined. Mr. Defini used his modding talents to replace every wasp in the game with Shrek.
What about the big wasp? Is it also
including
Shrek?
the queen.
More wasps have spawned, but they are no match.
God bless Australia. Fable is very simple. It's also very easy. I would actually be very impressed if you somehow managed to lose the game, because you can't actually die as long as you're digesting food. Turns out, it's not a question of how strong you are. It's a question of how many apples you brought. You start as a child apprentice at the Heroes Guild, but after a few tutorials,
Yo, I fucking hate Whisper and that dude, her fucking brother. Both of them are pieces of shit and both of them die every single time I play this fucking game.
everything
Fuck 'em.
fast forwards until you're a fully grown adult. Before that, you'll have to tolerate living with Whisper,
It's time to wake up. Get out of bed, lazy bones.
doing unpaid
Fucking bitch.
labor for the guild,
Well done, lad. The beetles are all dead.
and holding back tears while doing favors for the guildmaster.
Just keep going till I tell you to stop. Ah, now that's more like it. Get used to the weight of this sword. I think you've earned yourself some pocket money for that.
Then you can finally go out into the great wide world of Albion. You can tell this place was inspired by Britain, as all the peasants speak like they're inbred. They also have one of those characteristic British smiles. Lionhead Studios hates the working class, so Lionhead Studios
Okay, I'm gonna give you all a fucking tip. If you have played Fable and if you've enjoyed any type of these games, go play Black and White 2. Shit is fucking amazing. By Lionhead Studios. The best game they've made. For sure.
Studios hates
Fucking
the
love that
working
game.
class, so they've made every effort to make you hate them as much as possible. You can interact with them, use emotes, and even marry them. I learned very early in life that the only two ways to get out of marriage is through domestic violence or becoming a widow. As a hero, you take quests from the guild. Some are optional, some are essential for progressing the story. They're quite straightforward. Occasionally, Whisper will show up to annoy you even more and steal your experience points because
Yes. My bro, I think you're fucking cheating. I don't think you can be that big that early on in the fucking game. Okay. This kind of works a little bit like Kenshi. You get experience points, you level up stuff. The difference in Fable is that you start off as a kid and you age through the experience you gain. Also, if you increase your strength, you get bigger, like more muscular. If you increase your dexterity, you get, the usual shit.
her skill set is designed for kill stealing and
So seeing him here he doesn't have as much strength as he did back over there, because he's smaller, you can see.
contributing absolutely nothing to a team fight. The skill points you did manage to save from Whisper's firebombs and flips can be spent at the guild on upgrading your
Yo, I still remember that fucking mission where we had if you kill more than her, you get the trophy. And that bitch, she wouldn't do shit, but every time you'd leave one of those little goblins or whatever they were called on low HP, she would fucking kill steal that shit. God, I hate fucking
hero.
Whisper.
As you level up your abilities, your hero will also physically change, growing taller.
Also, the more you get hit, the more scars your character gains. And if you get, well, it's really hard not to get hit in this game. Like, hits don't really do that much most of the time, so you're gonna get hit a lot usually. And by the end of the game, your character is gonna look like a fucking Scarface.
And more muscular. This game is living proof that there's no excuse for being a manlet. So hit the gym and squat your way into becoming 7 feet tall.
fuck?
There are downsides to upgrading your abilities, as each point spent makes you physically older, developing wrinkles, memory. As each point spent makes you physically old.
Whoa.
Makes you physically
This is 18, no level ups.
Older.
19, rank 1, cocaine addiction. She's still kinda hot though. Later on she got a lot worse.
developing wrinkles, memory loss, and once you hit the age of 65, forces you to spend about 20,000 gold on a hip replacement. You can choose not to do this, but you'll have to keep taking morphine shots to numb the pain for the rest of the game. There are proven ways to reverse aging, of course, like sacrificing your wife to the dark gods.
A pathetic contribution.
Interestingly, this is still slightly less evil than divorcing her. There's a lot of skills to choose from, but like men, skills aren't made equally. Magic restores very slowly,
Set. Futa, Tick, and Trap. Phoenix, Stuff. Interesting stuff. This game has an amazing magic system. I love the magic in this spell. It basically starts, you have a basic fireball and then you can level it up, and all the spells are like that. Some of the spells are fucking amazing. You can stop time, shit
Stores
like that.
very slowly, so you'll be
awesome.
forced to chug down mana potions if you plan on using spells. The one upside of being a mage is that you can still use emotes while spell casting, so
I
you can
didn't know
keep
that.
thrusting away as you electrocute your enemies to death. Others are completely broken. Assassin Rush lets you blink behind enemies and abuse the AI. Fun fact, Assassin's Rush can sometimes glitch into the terrain when combined with Summon. Please don't use this in the Chamber of Fate, or you might accidentally glitch your way under the floorboards and obtain the Sword of Aeons 30 minutes.
What? Oh man, now I gotta fucking replay the game. Ah, too bad. Hey, we're back, boys. Back to Fable. Ah, by the way, combine the fucking dash behind them, Assassin's Rush or whatever it was called, with the multiple strike on your melee weapon, with a heavy fucking weapon that does a shit ton of damage. You can one-shot the fucking game.
After starting the game. Multi-strike allows you to completely ignore the combat system since it can't be blocked and has no cooldown, and time stop lets you run through about 80% of the game without even lifting a finger. There's a lot more skills out there, but they're far too balanced to be worth talking about. Except heal. Heal is absolutely vital when your character gets too muscular, as your fists might unintentionally kill your wife. Use heal between beatings to keep her healthy, and to get rid of any bruising that might be used as evidence against you in a court of law. Quests typically award you a lot of gold. Most players will spend this on improving their gear or buying new weapons. Real gamers spend it all on playing blackjack and buying yourself an appropriate title so
In this game, you should never buy weapons. The best weapons you get are from the demon doors, and most of them are pretty easy to open. I still remember the first door in the guild. It was like, what was the riddle? So this game has like demon doors, which are basically doors that give you a riddle. Once you complete the riddle, they unlock and you can go inside and get whatever they have. There's a riddle in the first, like in where you train as an apprentice. I know the solution was for you to bring out your lantern, but I don't remember the riddle.
you don't go insane
fucking fun as
from
fuck.
listening to the
Trying to figure
villagers.
them out.
Based on old save files I found from when I was 12 years old, I can tell you with high certainty that the most popular titles everyone picked were Assassin, Necromancer, and Reaper. We were really edgy kids back then. In between quests, you can go and wander around town, trade, and get constantly mocked by older
I hate that
heroes who
bitch.
are past their prime.
He can't entrust important quests to novices like you.
I see they're letting the children out of the guild early these days.
Pronounce feces, face, self, retard exists only to be killed in the expansion. Actually true. I
Now,
hate this bitch as
move
well.
aside, will you? I don't need you crowding me too. Can you move away now? You're getting in the way of my fans. I hear you can make a decent living out of fishing. Or maybe begging's more your style.
As if that wasn't bad enough, the guildmaster will constantly Skype call you through your guild seal, giving you great advice when you need it the most.
Your health is low. Do you have any potions or food? Try to get your combat multiplier even higher.
Don't worry, you get a chance to kill them all later.
It's time I showed the world who the real hero is.
Now you
Well, I'm rather fond of my soul. I'm not giving it up without a fight.
Damn, his character
There's a
looking
lot
at
of
you is
activities
fucked up.
outside town, including side quests, puzzles, and fishing. However, fishing is a good way to catch carpal tunnel, as it involves rapidly mashing left click on the PC. So, to avoid this, I turn on my auto clicker. I set it to a 1 millisecond delay time, so I can catch the fish instantly. Modern problems require modern solutions. You can customize your hero however you like.
pretty
Different haircuts, facial hair, tattoos, and clothing will provoke different responses from the townspeople. Some of these might not make sense, so you should always ask yourself, what would a British woman find attractive? And go from there. The last chapters What would a British woman find attractive? And go from there. The last chapters lets you own a brothel as well, which you couldn't in the base game. Lost Chapters is better in every way compared to the original. It's beautiful, it's got a lot to do, and it's absolutely busted with the ways you can abuse the system. Peasants lack any kind of business sense, and will happily sell you all of their stock. Then they begin panicking from the lack of supplies and offer to buy it all back at greatly inflated prices to end the shortage. You can do this infinitely and ruin the economy. Another scheme I used to run was being pure good and extremely famous, so peasants would never question why I need to lead them to a secluded spot in the woods. Once there, they'd all die of mysterious circumstances. When this happens, the family would have to sell the house in order to pay for funeral expenses. I would immediately snatch up the property and rent it out. I then repeat this for every property in town. Days later, the town is repopulated by the descendants of all those unfortunate peasants, who are forced to pay rent to me, their benevolent landlord, for all eternity, unaware of the fact that I may have had a role in their parents' demise. Fable. It's ridiculous, it's entertaining, and it's probably one of the most interesting games ever made by Peter Molyneux. If you haven't already,
Who the fuck is Peter Molyneux? Besides the creator of this
I
game.
sincerely recommend you give it a try. And if you have, well, I'm just feeding off your nostalgia. This time, the Lord of Lies gets my vote, and I give it a 6 out of 6, which is the number of simultaneous wives you 6 out of 6, which is the number of simultaneous wives you can have in every village, provided none of them ever find out. Personally, I look down on polygamy, so if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go hold hands with my husband. As always, more content to come, so stay tuned. Probably much more autistic content, so be warned. A warm thanks to the many members of the Merchants Guild generously funding and bankrolling these videos. You're all truly wonderful. Have a good one.
Well, nice one, Seth. Now I need to go replay Fable. Jesus. Yep. I need to go replay Fable. This game is so fucking good. I enjoy this fucking game a lot. Besides the fucking escort missions, those fucking suck. I hate the escort missions. Everyone hates the escort missions. The escort missions hate the escort missions. That's enough. This was the Fable review by Seth. Like, comment, subscribe, and see you next time. Everybody have a nice fucking day.